Research, research, research.
And it's also so much fun, in my opinion.
See, I made this my priority before I left the country.
Ones that you truly enjoy, that's what you're going to enjoy doing as a degree.
Blah, 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 blah. So many excuses. Check the scholarships page. I am Mahdia.
And I'm Avani.
Welcome to the 10th episode of Pass with 10 People. We are at 2 digits now.
Mhm.
And as I've been starting my university application, which I've been losing sleep over, I thought it would be a good idea
Oh,
to kind of, no, really, dude. Past 2 days, I'm so tired. Personal statements, I'm so stressed over it. But yeah, if you are someone who is thinking about wanting to study abroad, doesn't know where to start, because I know that if I was an international student my entire life, I would 100% be so lost and so overwhelmed. And there's so many places. I mean, you're looking at the entire world, you're looking internationally. So this is kind of a step-by-step guide of personally how I did it. I'm not an expert. I haven't even applied yet, but just a bit of insight of like where you can start.
and also, both of us have interviewed a lot of international students because
Yes,
of
yes, yes.
Borderless. Yes,
That is
so we
true.
have somewhat of an idea of what you guys should be doing if you are applying abroad. Obviously, it's best to research your options and
Yeah.
everything, but hopefully we help.
Yeah, I think we aren't experts, but we do know more than other people might. So yeah, let's jump in. Step one, the first thing that I did, the first thing that you kind of need to do is decide where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
The course, the university, if you have an idea of the type of university, because I think that's also something that people don't really realize is that you can choose whether or not you want to study in a specific country at that like local university, or you can pick like another country's curriculum type of university in another country. So for example, there are a lot of UK, like I would prefer to go to a UK university, but I don't necessarily want to live in the UK. And so there are many UK campuses, UK universities where there's a campus in other countries, for example, Malaysia, there's the UAE, there's Australia. So making sure you know which country you want to go to and the options within that country.
Yeah, another really important thing when you're deciding where you want to go is it's so important to make sure that the university course that you want to study is in that country. Like for the US, you can't do a Bachelor of Laws or a Bachelor of Medicine. You have to do pre-law or pre-med, right? Whereas in Australia, for example, you can combine and do a double degree. Like you can do a Bachelor of Laws with a Bachelor of, say, you want to do commerce, right? You can do both of them at the same time. It'll be maybe like 2 years extra. Or maybe even just 1 year extra. Like the course I want to do is 1 year extra, which is so good because you end up with two bachelor degrees at the end. But obviously, if it's too much of a workload, you don't want to go for one of them. You want to go for a single degree. You have to make sure that you know, like I'm talking in Australia, you want to make sure that the course that you want to do doesn't require you to do a double degree, because a lot of universities here require you to do a double degree for law, for example. So it's really important that you really research into what you're interested in, whether the university like offers it. Go into what the universities actually teach you in that course as well, because it's so important that you like what you're learning, and if it'll help you in the future with your career option as well. And obviously research about like the university's environment, because different universities have very different environments, and it's so important that you feel like you'll fit in there. So always try and find out more about that place. Like I follow my dream universities, like all of their socials and everything for it into whatever I'm into. I literally follow the future accommodation I want to go into. So make sure you do that, because it is so important that you feel like you fit in there as well.
I think people who like are going into this completely blind, people who haven't even started thinking about university, because there are some people, who, they don't revolve the entire high school experience over what university they want to do.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
Not just because it's a university doesn't mean it offers everything. That's not how it works,
Yeah,
unfortunately. I
definitely.
know when you're younger and you're a bit more naive, you think that it doesn't have every course under the sun. It definitely could not have your course, so make sure that you check, and like Vani said, check what is in the course, check what you're doing in the degree, because now that I'm starting to look at applications, oh my gosh, the vast differences between the universities, where I found some now after looking at what they actually offer, what I'm actually going to be doing. Some of them are so much better to my liking compared to others. So, and I think it can really change your experience. So yeah.
Another thing I realized is a lot of different universities will have like similar courses under different names. But if you're choosing a course, for example, in political sciences, I'm going to name three universities. There's ANU, Australian National University, USyd, University of Sydney, and UNSW, University of New South Wales, right? In UNSW, they offer PPE, which is politics, philosophy, and economics. In USyd, you have to take a Bachelor of Arts. In ANU, they have a political sciences degree. All three of them, you can major in politics, right? Which is something I want to do. But all of them are under different names, and all of them you'll be learning very different things. And for example, in the Bachelor of Arts, you have to take a major and a minor. For the PPE, you'll have to learn economics on top of just politics, and you'll have to learn philosophy too. So make sure you really look into what you want to study, if you're happy to study that or not. And also check if they have, I don't know if it's for international students, but if there's prerequisites, such as certain courses you've had to study before you actually go to that course. Because I know in Australia you have to study certain courses to get into some degrees, and if not, you have to do a different bachelor's and go into that degree with that um, course instead as a master's or something.
Yeah, that would, I think step two would be research, research, research. Something that has helped me. I like the I need everything to look clean. You know, I get overwhelmed very easily. So open a document, or for me, it's easier. I find it easier to actually write it down. I have a book. I'll write down the university, the cost, the requirements. Make sure you check the requirements. If every university is different. Every single university is different. There's English requirements, there's grade requirements. Sometimes, like she said, you need other courses and other degrees to get into that one. So research and write it down. Write down university for university. Use like a page for one university. That way, that when you're looking over it, you can turn the page. It's easy, it's simple. You know what you're looking at, and then you can like truly make up your decision.
Something I do is I have a tab on like Google Chrome, and it has all of the universities that I want to go into open with all of the information, because it's usually just on one page for the degree I want. And I just like revise it every so often, go through the entire thing just so I'm like I know if I've missed any information, and like it's constantly fresh in my brain. So I'm like almost memorizing the information in a way.
And on that, make sure you're checking it again before you're applying, because things change
Mm.
between intakes. So now, say September intake is closing, I think, for like my universities, and then January will start to open. But between September intake and January intake, right now, all the information that's on the website is specified for September. Even the scholarships, everything is specified for September. So once your intake opens, check again. Even if you checked 100 times before, check again. Make sure the information is all the same, because there's a chance that it changed for January intake, because it's a different
Definitely.
academic year.
In terms of research, for like universities and stuff, like we mentioned earlier, we're intern journalists for Borderless. Um, Borderless actually offers really great research tools and a lot of different helpful opportunities for universities and applying for it. So we definitely recommend checking it out and like using it too, because it will help you.
I think also specifically for the US. In my opinion, from what I've seen, I've looked at a few universities. I feel like the US's application process is a bit more tedious compared to others. It can seem more overwhelming. And so Borderless really helps you absolutely step by step, personalized to you and to what you did. It really helps, especially for the US university. So, yeah.
Something I'd say on that term, especially if you're applying for the US, not that you should delay any of the things you're applying for, always start super early, right? Start at the start of the year, even if the application is due at the end of the year, because no matter what, you need the time to write stuff, you need the time to get recommendation letters and all of the things that you need.
Something that I did, and I would say step three is, I would think, starting to prepare for documents. Once you have your list of universities that you want to go to, Also, if the universities are out of your price budget, note it down still. Even if you want to go there, note it down. I'll get there. I'll get to that step later about scholarships. But yeah, once you have the universities you want to go to, you check the requirements, you feel that okay, I could have a shot at this, starting to prepare your documents. What I've done is even if I'm not applying then and there, I open an application just to get an idea of what the actual application looks like, just to see what I actually need. So log in, make an account, and note down what you need, what documents you need. Because, for example, some universities I am applying to, some of them ask for a personal statement, and others don't ask for a personal statement. Personal statements might completely go over your head because it's not for every single university, it's not for every single country. Only specific countries and universities actually ask for them. So by making sure that you actually check your application process, like Avani said, you're ahead of the game. That way, when you
Mhm.
actually applications open and you only for the first time open your application, then you're not bamboozled and surprised by these documents that you need, such as references and like your passport, your actual statement of grades, personal statement. It all takes a while to get, and make sure that like it's application ready. So yeah.
Before that too, another thing is because you usually apply for university when you're in 12th grade. When you're in 11th grade, start shortlisting universities. Start with maybe like 20 universities that you really want to go to, right?
Okay, but
Cut it
20
down to maybe
also
10.
is
No,
quite.
no, no. Yes, but then cut it down to 10, and then by the start of year 12 or the end of year 11, make sure you're at about maybe 5 to 7-ish, so that you have a fair amount of universities, but also don't go overboard because you don't want to get overwhelmed with the amount of applications that you have to do. Also, in some places, there is a limitation to how many universities you can apply to, so be very careful with it. Oh, also another note, when you're applying for universities, don't apply for just universities that are in the top like spots, because you don't know whether you're going to get into it or not. Make sure you have backup places. Like no matter how good your grades are, no matter how good your academics, extracurriculars are, no matter what, just always have at least two or three backup universities, maybe like one or two, I don't know. But it's so important because in case you don't get your first option, you have to have something else, because otherwise you could be left with nothing.
Yeah. Starting like 11th grade, I say would be ideal. I didn't. I only started literally when I was done with school because I decided I want to take a gap year. So yeah, it is preferred that you do start at 11th grade just because it gets you ahead of the game, but you don't necessarily have to. Again, if you're trying to apply to more prestigious universities, and maybe that's better just because they ask for more extracurriculars, they want to see more from you. But there are universities who are a bit easier to get into, not necessarily completely easy, but compared to like those other universities. So if you haven't started in 11th grade, say you're graduating now, it's fine, is completely fine. But the few things that I would recommend you do if this is the case is make sure you get good reference letters. I made my reference letters a priority because not only does it show that you have the ability to go and ask for a reference letter, you're taking charge, but also it gives the university the ability and the opportunity to see what your teachers think of you, to see what other academics think of you. So yeah, get reference letters. Try and combine as many things as you can. For example, my English teacher, she was my homeroom teacher. So I asked her to write about my house captaincy and being an environmental ambassador. And she had the ability to write on how I was in class, how I worked on tests, assignments, because she was my teacher. So don't get too many reference letters, and if you do get a lot, pick the best. Pick like three best, I would think.
Usually, okay, so I've had reference letters for like a couple of things. The maximum that they let you add is three. And they say maybe have maybe like three, don't really do more, because anything more than three is like too much, right? Like Madhya said, having five means they're not going to look at it all, right? Because no one has the time to do that. There are thousands of applicants. Choose your top three. Also, another thing, list as many of the similar things as you can into one reference letter and get one person to write that for you, because then it all flows together. and then have another person write about another thing. Like if you're talking about academics, make that one reference letter. Sport, another one. Leadership, another one. Because then you have three different sections and you have all of that information there. And tracking back a little bit, I'll be so honest, I started planning and looking into universities in year nine, so your ninth grade. But you don't have to do that. If you're doing that, don't be worried.
There's you who
But like
started so long ago, and there's me who like, bro, I didn't even start until like I was ending the year, like towards exams. Oh my gosh.
if you're starting early, obviously there's no problem with that either. I think it's really helpful because you actually get to see
Yeah,
everything
honestly,
that
I
you've learned
prefer
and
it.
everything in so much detail.
Yeah.
And it's also so much fun, in my opinion. So maybe I'm just a nerd, but like I find it so
If you're
much
that
fun.
type of
So
person.
yeah, like
No,
if
but
you
even
like
if you
researching
don't
about
find it
it,
fun,
you know,
I think you should, just because
yeah,
it
at least
gives you
in
a
year
head
11,
start.
lock in and get into it.
It gives you a heads up, and it gives you time to do things. It gives you time to be
Yeah,
like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do this. And it gives you time to actually figure out what you want to do. Because I know a lot of people would say
exactly.
that in grade nine, ninth grade, they don't know what they want to do. But if you start the process, you're going to start figuring it out. Why? Because you're going to be reading what the degree wants from you, what you have to do within the degree. And then you'll start
Mm,
figuring out your dislikes and your likes. You'll start doing the extracurriculars, which should be somewhat linked and somewhat related to what you
mm.
want to do. I think that helps the most. And then if you don't like these certain things, you can check it off of your box. It gives you such more time to truly and actually figure out what you want to do. That way, you're not just applying because you have to, and you're applying because you want to.
Yeah. Also, in terms of choosing your degree or choosing your future career, I'll be so honest, have a look at your extracurriculars, like the ones that you do for fun, the ones that you truly enjoy. That's what you're going to enjoy doing as a degree. That's what you're going to enjoy doing as a career. Um, Say you enjoy, for example, Model UN, right? There's a debate style, there's a lot of diplomacy involved. You're advocating basically. Say you do debating as well, right? This obviously shows a link between you and wanting to do similar stuff in those things. If you want to do that, then maybe law is the right option for you, or something where you're able to advocate and be able to step up, right? Because that's what basically both of them are. You like speaking. Those are good degrees like communications or journalism. You want to look at your extracurriculars because they often show you what you actually like and what you're going to enjoy, and that's what you want to do in life.
Yeah, and with this, if you then have an idea of what you actually want to do, you can focus your time more on the subjects that matter more. Obviously, before you enter high school, say you started grade 9, you have to pick a lot of subjects. And like, for example, for me, IGCSE and A levels, you go from like minimum 5 subjects to like minimum 3 subjects. So it your subjects really get narrowed down, and that way you can focus more and put more time in getting better grades for the subjects that relate to what you actually want to do. For example, I want to do psychology, so like English, biology, math, global perspectives, those subjects matter more to me, and so I put more time into actually learning and doing better in the subject, so that when I do apply, it reflects well and it shows that I am ready and prepared for the degree.
Yeah, I totally agree because for me, we actually start high school in year 7, grade 7, but like we choose our first subjects in year 9. It doesn't really matter what we choose here for year 9 because they're just like fun subjects. When it comes to year 11, our subjects are pretty important because that's what really counts towards university, right? You want to choose subjects that you're good at, that you enjoy, stuff that you're going to be able to study and actually not feel burnt out by the end of it. So I think it's really important knowing what you like and what you don't like in that sense too.
Step 4, I would say finances and scholarships. Now, honestly, for me, I'm looking at all of this throughout the entire process. From the beginning at deciding what universities or what countries I should be going to, because that's also consideration. You have to think about how expensive the actual country is. Cost of living, that's a big thing. You can't be going to really,
Inflation
unless you can afford
rates.
it. Yeah, you need to check that actually living there, accommodation, food, like daily things is not going to go over your budget, is not going to completely dry you out. That's also a big thing to do. But something that I have learned and been telling a lot of people recently, even if you don't think you can get a scholarship, even if you feel like your grades aren't that good, even if you think you haven't done anything, blah, 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 so many excuses, check the scholarships page. Go through, look at it, read if you're read the requirements for it, because there's so many different things. For example, and this isn't necessarily a scholarship, but it falls under that page. If you send in your deposit before a certain date, you'll get a discount. If you apply early before a certain date, you can get a discount. There's so many different places within that scholarship page that you can save money. So it doesn't matter if you don't think you don't have the grades, you'll find some places to chop off some costs. Trust me, you'll find some places.
There are so many different scholarships, especially for Australia, right? Um,
And international
I've seen
students. They
scholarships.
love international
Yeah,
students.
exactly. I've seen so many scholarships for sports, for music, for academics, for leadership, for literally any extracurricular that you can basically think of. It'll fall under one category or another. I've also
Yeah.
seen gender-based scholarships, heritage-based scholarships,
Yes.
women in STEM have scholarships. Generally STEM has a lot of scholarships is what I've seen. There's a lot of scholarships for particular areas of say law or for arts, you know, like there's the creative arts scholarships here. There's scholarships for international students to help them come in as well. There are so many scholarships, and if you're eligible, you should apply because who knows, maybe that's the scholarship that
Yeah.
grants you free entry into a country
Yeah, the
or
worst
at least
the
a
worst
discounted
thing that's
one.
gonna happen is that they say no. So check the scholarships page. Check it, check it, check it, check it, check. Because honestly, I think you'd find something. Something. Because
Yeah,
some
I found
scholarships
something.
also are specific to the degree. People
Yes,
who are
exactly.
eligible for that scholarship should be applying to that degree. So your luck,
Yeah.
your degree falls under that. Apply.
It's also so much helpful, so much more helpful when you have the scholarship because you don't have the financial burden, especially when you move to a new country. It's so much harder to get a job and be able to earn for yourself. So it's so important that you have some money before you go. And if you can get a scholarship, it's so much more helpful as well.
Okay, and then I want to speak about personal statements along with the reference letters because that's where I am now. I'm currently writing it and I haven't finished. I'm honestly gonna say I'm struggling a bit. Um, so the first thing that I did when it came to my personal statement is I wrote down everything that I've ever done, any extracurriculars, all the subjects that I've done, literally anything that could possibly link to what I want to apply to, which is psychology. I wrote everything down. Along with that, next to, say, for example, I wrote house captain. I wrote a small bullet point about what that did to me, how that benefited me, how that strengthened me. Because the point of a personal statement, the purpose of an essay that you are giving to university is not to show I did this, I did this, I did this. It's to show how it improved your skills, how it benefited you, how it strengthened you, what you achieved from it, how you grew from that certain task. So once I made the list,
You're going to use that skill to get a degree, to use that degree to benefit the country.
yeah, it should be showing your interest. It should
Yeah.
be showing
It's like a
how
letter.
it should. That's why, yeah, exactly. That's why when you are in, if you do start in grade 11, you can think about it more where you're not doing some random extracurriculars that when it comes to apply, when it comes to write your personal statement, you find no way of connecting it to what you actually want to do. So having that information beforehand helps you so much more because now when you reach your personal statement, boom, it's always honestly, I thought that writing my personal statement, like finding things that relate to psychology for me, I thought it was gonna be way harder, but I guess subconsciously, like I found a way to connect everything. So yeah, make a list of everything you want to do. You're not gonna add all of that onto your personal statement, but once you have all of that listed out, you can
On the
pick the best
list.
ones.
Speaking of lists, keep a list of everything that you do because it's so important. I know I should definitely put down the stuff I do because I don't, but it helps you keep track because you will forget stuff when it comes to applying to
Yeah.
university. So
And if you, again, if you're starting in grade 11 or grade 9 or before, like you actually finish school, you can make this list, like Avani said, while you're doing it. That way, when you're writing how it benefited you, it's more fresh. There's you can write more about it. Like I already am trying to think back, and I'm like, okay, what did I actually do? Like like it's just so much easier when it's fresh. So if you write it down when it happens, so much easier. Then you can start to pick out what you actually want to put in your personal statement. So I split my personal statement into like different sections just to kind of help me a bit, you know. So I'm doing like introduction and purpose, why I'm doing it, what I want to do, how what I've done so far has kind of led to this moment, where my interest for it came. That's kind of the first paragraph, the first step. Obviously, you need to introduce yourself in a way. You need to introduce what you want to do and why you want to do it. And then educational background, where you went to school or the grades that you did. Something that I learned is reflect on the subjects that you did. I know this sounds like I've spoken to a few people and they were shocked when I said this, but look at the subject that you did and reflect upon how that is how the skills you learned within the subjects, even not even just extracurriculars, the subjects you did. Reflect on how it's going to help you within the degree. For example, biology connects a lot to psychology. Global perspectives, I did research skills, essay writing skills. Talk about the actual subject. It gives you more to write about and it benefits you. And then extracurriculars and experiences, whether the extracurriculars are in school, outside of school, what you've done. That's another reference letter that you should get. If you're doing an internship, ask the person who's in charge to write your reference letter. Something that I added to my personal statement is why that country. So, example, if I'm applying to Malaysia, if I'm applying to the UAE, I'll edit it slightly and state why I want to study in Dubai, why I want to study in Malaysia, that type of thing. And then something else that I added was what I'd like to do in the future. Very small, one, two sentences where you see yourself. It shows that you have an idea and you're not just going into this because you have to. It shows that you actually want this. So yeah. Does Australia have any type of personal statement essay type of thing or no?
Um, no,
That's
maybe.
great. That's
I feel
amazing.
like
I envy
I
you.
feel like it has I think it has a small section, but you don't have to go in like the American process, I think. I haven't applied yet, so I don't really know, but um I don't think so because you just submit your extracurriculars, your recommendation letters, your marks, and I think that's it.
Yeah. Also, check the requirements for the essay because, like, a UK personal statement compared to like a US university essay, um, is different. They ask for different things. I think for the UK, it's more straightforward. It's less storytelling, whereas the US, it's more storytelling in that way. So make sure you differentiate if you see an application that it does ask for a personal statement or some type of essay. Make sure that you ask either like admissions teams or you research the differences because there are differences. You don't want to be writing an essay that is like the US format when you're applying to like a UK university or any other university.
Because a lot of different countries have different types of styles of what they expect from a personal statement. Um, for example, the US really wants to know like your journey-ish, and the UK I've heard like wants to know about what you really want to do in the future, like why you're beneficial to them. So you gotta change your like personal statements depending on where you're applying because you need different statements for different countries depending on what their requirements and how they want you to write it is going to be.
And then step 5, submit your application. Applications
Watch
open.
out for deadlines.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mark it down on
yes.
your calendar when they're actually due because you don't want to miss the day either.
Yeah, again though, you should be applying. Oh my gosh, why does it keep not focusing? You need to be trying to apply early. I think it's the best. Also, that overwhelming feeling will be gone. So just apply as soon as you can. Start as soon as you can. If you're watching this, start now. Go write down a list of your extracurriculars because it all helps so much more. Visas also, that's another thing. Cost of living, visas, scholarships. There's so much that goes into it. So research. And again, there's a lot of stories on individuals applications from all over the world to all over the world on Borderless. The articles that all the interns write is very detailed. It's very informing. You can check for the country you want to apply to, that university you want to apply to, or you can look at people from your country to kind of get a bit of that inspiration. They share their story, they share their application journey, what they did to prepare. Yeah, honestly, for me, best thing to do is just be prepared. Don't, it's not easy, but it's not that hard. If you just find that middle ground, um, you'll do well, and hopefully you will have the best time university. Best of luck, and we'll
You
see
got
you next
this.
week. Is there anything else you want to say? No.
Not really, but good luck, and yeah, I hope you make it into wherever you want to go to.
Yeah, and I'll let you guys know when I finish my personal statement and when I actually apply, because that's as far as I can tell you about. I haven't experienced any of it yet. So yeah, we'll see you next week.
Bye.